My name is Ariane Grandlies, and I was born in Danzig, which was a free city with its own passport and nationality, like Monaco or Liechtenstein, but eventually became Gdansk, which is now Poland. My father was Polish, and my mother was German. My father was Jewish, and my mother was Protestant, which in those days was an unusual partnership. I spent my early childhood in Danzig till I was just over 3. And then because the war was imminent, and because, of course, my father being Jewish, we moved to France. We were lucky that the French didn't denounce us, so my family was safe. My father came from a family of 10. 2 of them died at childhood. 4 were alive after the war, and 4 died during the war. 1 on the Russian front, and 3 with their family in concentration camps. One day, the Germans came into our building, because we lived on the 2nd floor of a 5-floor apartment block, and they came and they started marching, 1st floor, 2nd floor. My father didn't know if he should open the door if they knocked or what. They went to the apartment next door, and they caught somebody, brought him down, and eventually the guy was shot and never came back. I can remember people with the marking of the concentration camps on their hands. That I can remember. Well, when I arrived in England, of course, I didn't know a word of English. So I went to ordinary school called Froebel, where for a year I learned really only English. And then I went to a secretarial school to learn shorthand typing, bookkeeping, so that I could be self-supporting if need be. My father was a great believer that, women should stand on their own 2 feet and not just spend their time cooking and looking after children. I worked selling tools, the hammers for housing, to build things. There I met my husband, and I married, and we had 3 children. My marriage was a disaster, very unhappy, and I decided that the only way out was to divorce, and that I would do my best to try and see how I could raise my 3 children. So was a picture. Here's your mother. This is the picture of her before she got to know you. I then decided that life for my children was not going to be what I dreamed for them. There wasn't quite the opportunity. So I decided to come and visit Canada, which I did for 2 weeks, to see what the market was like, whether what the housing was like, and whether I could make a go of it. I came back to England, applied for Canadian, to become a landed immigrant, and arrived with my 3 kids, age at the time 16, 14, and 13, to Ottawa. It was the best thing I did in my life, but it was the most difficult, because I left all my friends, my parents. I was an only child, and I had a very small family, and I left them behind. And when I came to Canada after 10 years, I had known the person before, but we finally got together, and we've been living for the last 30 years together in fairly happy harmony. And then I was diagnosed 3 years ago with cancer, lymphoma, and Hodgkin's. I was lucky to survive, but the problem was that it affected and damaged severely my lungs, the treatment, so that now I have only 30% of lung capacity. I had the wonderful opportunity of traveling, of seeing Canada, of learning about Canada, about its differences, and eventually became a Canadian. And I was very proud, and am very proud, of being a Canadian.